I grew up, the part that I remember, I grew up in New Hampshire. I was born in Massachusetts, in Waltham, where they make watches. But my family moved away from Massachusetts when I was about 4. And we moved to New Hampshire because my daddy lost his job in the lumberyard. The lady that owned the lumberyard kept him on for about 9 months with no work to do. They played checkers. And after 9 months, he says, "I'm sorry, I don't have any more work and I don't have any more money." And so he was laid off, and the bank said, "We want your house." So they took the house that we owned, that Daddy had built, and we moved to New Hampshire. And we lived on about 3 acres of land in an old house, which Daddy put a new roof on. He took so much stuff off the roof that it was up above the windows, the trash. And while he was doing that, he found a costume, an old lady, a lady's costume. It had a hoop skirt, and I got to wear that for every Halloween and costume party that there was. It had high collar, black, long sleeves, little tiny buttons down the front, and a hoop skirt that had, you know what a hoop skirt is if you know anything about Ashley photographers. And we had goats, and we had a couple cows. We had a cow named Sweetheart. We had chickens. We had a garden. And we had lots of fun in that farm. We went skating in the winter down in a little pond. My mama would take us skating. And we went tobogganing in the winter. My brother Buddy had a toboggan, and I remember tobogganing with him.
Tell us about moving out to Arizona and meeting that senior edition there.
But in the war came up. My daddy had a better job now. And in 1943, my sister graduated from high school. She was going to be 18 that summer. And there was a factory down in Connecticut that was building airplanes. And so somehow she got a job down there in Connecticut in Botts Sikorsky Aircraft Company as a riveter. You've heard about the lady riveters in World War II. Well, my sister Eleanor was one of those riveters, but after a few months she became ill, and the lady who managed the plant called my mom and dad and said, "You better come and get your daughter. She may not know you." So mom and dad got in the car and went down, and my sister was very ill. And she came home and stayed at home for a while.
Your sister's name?
Is Eleanor. And the doctor said to my folks that the best thing to do for Eleanor would be to have a complete change of scenery and a complete change of climate, because she had asthma as well. And so she got better from the depression that she experienced from the aircraft work. But by the spring of 1944, we had decided to move to Arizona. And Daddy bought a trailer. We sold our property to his sister, and we all got in the trailer and moved to Arizona. It took us 6 weeks to get across the country. It was still rationing during the war. We had about 6 flat tires. We had to wait to get tires along the way because they were rationed. And but we finally made it to Arizona. And I had to start 8th grade all over again because I didn't have a diploma from 8th grade in New Hampshire. And that's another part of the story. Anyway, a couple of years later, we got a letter from a family in New York who said that their daughter had asthma, and the pastor of that lady, her name
What was their daughter's name?
Mrs. Ashley, and their daughter's name was Wanda. She had asthma and was very ill the winter before, and the doctor said if she went through another winter, she probably wouldn't live. So they needed to get out of the cold winters back in New York State and move out west. And their pastor had said that he knew a family that had moved out there, And so she wrote to my mom and said, did it help? And my mom wrote back to Mrs. Ashley and said, yes, it's helped a lot. Eleanor's a lot better. She's going to Arizona Bible Institute and doing well. And so the Ashley family packed up their belongings, bought a trailer, and moved out to Arizona in 1946. But the time that they were to arrive in Phoenix was in August, in the middle of summer, and my dad had his very first vacation, paid vacation, and he'd gotten us a cabin up in the White Mountains of Arizona, and so we took off, but we left a note for the Ashleys that when they arrived that they were to move into our house, because it's too hot to live in a trailer in Arizona in August. So when we got back from our vacation, there was a family living in our house. It was the Ashley family. There was a mother and a dad, and Wanda, the girl, and there was a boy named Seymour, who I was rather interested in.
Already.
So that's how we met.
Well, when my folks got there, I thought that was pretty great. And they had told us that they had a daughter named Lois, and she was about my age, just a little bit younger than I. And I'd like to see her picture. And I wandered through the whole house, and I couldn't find a picture of Lois.
That's because I hadn't graduated from anything. You get
And I
pictures
was-
when you graduate.
Oh, I guess. Well, anyway, I was very grateful when the Beverly family came home, and I was able to meet this Lois.
Aw,
Well, you don't know my insides. You won't know what I was thinking. I was thinking, oh, she is so pretty.
aw.
Ah,
All you did was go out and play ball with my brother Johnny.
that's what I was expected to do. I wasn't expected to propose right away. We were,
14 and 15.
yeah, I was 15, you were 14.
And that's the story of how we met.
All right.